How to Tre Flip. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to Tre Flip, also known as a 360 flip or 360 kickflip. This is one of those tricks that looks really impressive and might seem really difficult to learn at first, but I'm about to show you what makes the scoop of this trick work, some common mistakes people make when they are learning Tre Flips, and how you can do them with more control and less effort. The Tre Flip was first done by Rodney Mullen in the early 1980s. Most of you already know that Rodney also discovered the majority of the basic street tricks done today, and even a lot of variations. He remembers doing the trick and, believe it or not, thinking that he didn't like the way the trick looked. He doesn't seem to mind giving credit for making Tre Flips popular to Jason Lee. You might recognize Jason Lee as a movie and TV actor now, but in the 90s, Lee was making 360 flips look effortless with his unique, laid-back style, which seems to be where the popularity of this trick really took off. There's much more Tre Flip history that came after this, but I'll save that for another video. Just let me know in the comments if you think I should make a full video on the history of Tre Flips. You should know that there are a lot of different ways to do this trick, and the way I do them isn't the only way. But I have spent a lot of time with this trick, and the techniques I'm going to show you in this video will help you do Tre Flips without much effort once you understand how they work. If this video helps you out, you can easily support my channel by hitting the like button, and you can subscribe and hit the bell icon if you'd like to know when I post new videos. Although you technically don't have to learn any other tricks to learn Tre Flips, I would recommend that you are comfortable with your kickflips and shove-its before trying this trick, for a few reasons. Kickflips will get you familiar with catching the board after it flips and build your confidence with landing. But I really think that being consistent with shove-its is most important because the catch of the shove-it feels a lot like the catch of the Tre Flip. You can actually use the shove-it later as a tool to change the style of your Tre Flip, but we'll talk more about that later in the video. This trick is a lot easier to learn and do on a smooth surface that has less resistance. Since a lot of you don't have any kind of smooth ground to practice and learn this trick on, a good little hack you can use while you are learning is to put some wax on the tail only where the board is going to be scooping on the ground. Foot position. The foot position for Tre Flips is really important, especially while you are learning. You want to put your front foot in the normal kickflip position, but move it back towards the center of the board at a slight angle. Your back foot should be facing straight forward off the tail with your toes hanging off completely. The back foot position is really key if you want to be able to do this trick with less effort. I know this feels pretty awkward at first, but make yourself do it and you will learn this trick much faster, mainly because it will allow you to use your ankle when you scoop the board. I learned this trick without hanging my toes off the tail, and it forced me to have to scoop the board in a really difficult way. I commonly see people put their back foot in the right position, and then right before they're about to scoop, they move their toes back onto the tail without realizing it. Try not to let yourself do that. I find that it's best to break tricks down into parts when you are learning them, so that you don't try to do everything at once. I'm going to break the Tre Flip down into 3 parts: pressure, release and scoop, and catch and landing. Pressure. Before you do anything, you want to understand where you're putting pressure on the board. A lot of what makes this trick work is putting pressure in the right place and releasing it as you scoop the trick. What you want is to have almost all of your weight on the tail of the board without losing your balance, and lean in on your toes, creating tension. Think of your front foot as the release of pressure. Try just releasing the pressure by jumping straight up and pulling your front foot up so you can see how much this actually does to form the trick. Try to keep your front shoulder centered over the front bolts, as well as keeping your knee on your back leg pointed straight forward off the side of the board. These 2 things are going to keep you from turning your body as you scoop the board. Release and scoop. After you have your weight and pressure ready on the back of the board, you are going to release the pressure with your front foot while scooping the board down, pushing the tail under. Imagine that you are scooping under and towards the nose of the board. If you do this correctly, then the tail will hit the ground close to where your back wheel on the heel side was. As you scoop, you want to nudge your front foot forward, using it as a guide, sort of directing where the board will end up finishing the rotation. This will help you keep the board from going behind you. You really don't need much of a flick, because when you scoop the board, it's tilting it into your front foot, making it flip almost on its own. You also want to lean forward towards your toes, because as you scoop, the board will go forward some, and this will direct your body to follow it. Catch and landing. The biggest thing that holds people back from landing tre flips is the board goes behind them or it goes way in front of them. This is happening because of where you're putting your weight as you scoop the board. If your weight's too far back, then the board will fly away in front of you, and if your weight's too far towards the front of the board, then the board will land behind you. There's usually a point where you want to put your head and focus your body weight. This spot will be somewhere in front of your back bolts, and finding this spot is what will make the board rotate under you perfectly. When you land your first tre flip, you're going to be pretty hyped. But before you run out and try to tre flip El Toro, you want to keep doing them on flat until you can start to get your front foot to catch the board. Catching tre flips with your front foot is what's going to give you the control and confidence you need to do them on anything other than just flat ground. If you scoop the board under correctly, then the board will come up from rotating under and snap to your front foot. Also, since you nudge the board forward when you scooped, then your front foot will be in the perfect place when the board comes around. You can even slightly push your front foot down as the board comes around to get a better catch. You really want to try and keep your back foot from catching the board because it will actually push the board off of your front foot. I've taken some pretty bad slams from catching tre flips with my back foot, and it's a really good way to roll your ankle. I highly recommend that you make sure you're getting that front foot catch on flat or off a curb before you try it on something bigger. After all, getting an injury will hold you back from progressing more than anything else. You really have to do this trick a lot to program these things into your mind, but eventually this trick will become easier than the more basic tricks. I think the main reason this trick is so popular is that you can really put your own style on it. I know a lot of people want to do lazy tre flips, where it almost looks like the trick just happens by itself. The best way to make this trick look more effortless is to get the ankle on your back foot to do all of the scoop and leave your back leg down while the board flips. Some people even leave their back leg hanging down until they catch the board with their front foot. You can use normal shove-its as a tool to practice using your ankle to scoop the board. Check out one of these other videos on the screen to learn some more tricks.